So today I'm making one of the biggest decisions of my car buying life, but it's probably not what you think it's going to be. And that's because something profound happened recently that totally changed my perspective on a car and has ultimately forced me into a pretty heavy decision.
And let's face it, it all started right here. Back in August, during Monterey Car Week, Damon of DDE gave me the keys to his manual Lamborghini Murcielago to drive for the whole week.
Probably one of the best embodiments of the reason that I love cars.
Honestly, when I first drove the car, I didn't know what to expect because it's an old car and I thought there's no way this thing's going to live up to the hype. It was the first time driving a Murcielago and it was a manual as well, and it was just...
This car has what I've begun to install as a GT1 rear end, chassis mounted wing, GT1 taillights, rear diffuser, basically FIA certified rain light into the back.
So this is really exciting.
Flame tune.
Flame tune.
Full straight pipe exhaust, yes.
I mean, this interior is bold. Holy hell, dude.
And for those of you that followed Car Week, you know exactly what happened next.
I immediately need one of these. That's so sick.
See, it's getting buttery, right?
That's bloody beautiful. Are you kidding me?
Well, here's the good news. You get to drive it for a week.
Bro, you are not getting this back.
The relationship between the engine and gearbox on this car was sublime. So good, in fact, I found myself changing gear for absolutely no reason at all, just to enjoy the pleasure of downshifting and rev matching, that synaptic connection between you and a proper big boy screaming V12.
You know, I've said it over the years that my vocabulary comes to an end sometimes when it's trying to convey emotional theatre of what the engagement of platforms like this do to us as like distilled car facts, and it just resonates on a different level. Microphones never do it justice.
In fact, it sounded so good that sometimes you found yourself getting a little bit carried away.
It's Car Week. I get it. It's a Lamborghini. It's fast. It's fun. Don't drive reckless.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I haven't had a car bite me like that in a very long time. That was the feeling that that car gave me. So much so that after one day of driving to Monterey Car Week, when I got there, I made it my mission to see if I could find a Murcielago, ideally a manual, to buy on site. But that was a big problem. And you're looking for $1 million US.
Yeah.
$1 million US. The problem I've got is I need to send it back to the UK, 20%.
Damn! That's crazy.
How would you look at a left-hand drive black one of those in Part X? I'd be interested in this.
Okay.
But I don't know if that would work for you guys over here or not. 23 manual coupes in the US. You would never imagine this has got 50,000 miles, not kilometers, miles.
US car?
The interior's been retrimmed or no?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, because the interior is really fresh.
It's
right.
really good.
Yeah, you heard that right. $1 million for a 50,000 mile left-hand drive US spec Murcielago LP640. So what on earth is the even rarer right-hand drive manual gonna cost back home?
Let's rewind a second. Just why is this car so special? The Murcielago launched as a car, but quickly became an icon. It was the first new car Lamborghini launched after Audi acquired the brand, resulting in stunning Italian aesthetics with sophisticated German engineering, underpinned by one of the finest naturally aspirated V12s ever to grace a road car. Following in the footsteps of the Countach and the Diablo, the Murcielago already came from an exotic bloodline, but further became a cult icon with the launch of the improved LP640, which made appearances throughout pop culture, including countless video games and Christopher Nolan's Batman. The name Murcielago does translate to bat, after all. Despite it being incredible when it launched, it may just be even more appealing today. In a world of electrification and weight-imposing regulations, the Murcielago is an analog antidote delivered with a serious punch.
So, with the legend fully established and the prices suitably ludicrous, why am I buying one of these cars?
Being in this car has actually been quite a profound moment. And it's had me questioning a lot of things. When I first started this, it was just for the pure thrill and immersion of driving, you know, like peak analog driver's cars, or things that just set you alight as a die-hard purist petrol head. And this, it's fast by conventional standards, but it's not fast compared to modern day standards. But when I'm in it and I'm interacting with it, and I'm chopping and changing gear for no reason at all, just to interact with how sublime the relationship is between the transmission and that naturally aspirated V12, it makes me think about what sets me alight as an individual car fanatic. And why that's important is if it's setting me alight on camera, it's conveying better to you the emotions and theatre of why I started this in the first place.
Needless to say, that V12 infected me and infected me deep. So now what? There are no manual Murcielagos in the UK, period. In fact, there's only 8 Murcielagos for sale in the UK, full stop. Never mind manuals. What about in Europe? Ideally, I would like a right-hand drive car, because like it or not, we drive with right-hand drive cars over here in the UK, but the way this is going. So the one Murcielago manual that's available in Europe has 27,796 kilometers, and it's 800,000. That's more, that's more than a Murcielago Super Veloce, which was a limited edition final run version of the Murcielago platform. And there's one.
At this point, it seemed like the dream was slipping away, until...
There are plenty of autos though. If you follow the channel, you may know I'm somewhat of a gearbox snob. I'm either manual or twin clutch, and not a big fan of the mushy stuff in between. So, why on earth have I just bought this? Well, join me in here and I'll tell you why. What's the fun in just finding the right car, buying it and having done? Now, it's been a while since we've had a proper project car on the channel. In fact, I think the last one, which was coincidentally the same age as this car, 2007, was the Aston Martin DBS. We took that back to Aston Martin Works and we did all sorts of fun things with it to upgrade it. That's exactly what I'm going to do with this thing. Only the upgrades is going to take place all around this thing here. So this, as I mentioned, is the automatic e-gear flappy paddle transmission. I'm going to drive it, I'm going to spend time with it and get used to it as an e-gear car, but ultimately we're going to be sending this on a journey of a manual conversion. I cannot tell you how excited I am for it. If Damon's pre-LP640 was that good, imagine what this thing will be like with a manual transmission. Now, it's not going to be easy. I've been doing some research into it before I got to this stage, and it's going to be a hell of a journey, but that's what this is all about. And I think, really speaking transparently, for the value of the channel, having a car that we can go on a journey with and all sorts of different adventures with, I think is just so much more appealing than just buying something and having it done. So that's the purpose of this car, and hopefully, by the looks of the prices out there, it's going to have saved me a lot of money. I totally get this now. I mean, Damon was saying something to me in that car when I was driving his for the first time, that he actually prefers his to a Carrera GT.
Jesus Christ, this is good fun.
It's my favorite. So, hands down,
This is the one you keep.
it's my favorite car of all time. And just imagine this. An LP version of this is actually significantly better. So in all fairness, I like it more than the CGT.
Cannot wait to go on this journey. Speaking of journey, this is something you're not going to believe. So over in America, we were looking at a car that was 50,000 miles. This car is 225 miles, not 2,250, 225 miles. Technically, this car has never done a complete tank of fuel. Although, based on the way that these things drink with 2 straws, it's probably done 2 tanks of fuel, but it's 225 miles on it. I don't know where Redline found this thing, but when I tell you it is box fresh, it even has, weirdly, that new car smell. It's got a new car, old car smell. This is how it would have smelled in 2007. Just fresh from the factory. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's no blemish on the wheel. There's no creases in the seats. There's just no evidence of life in this car at all. So how fortunate to be able to put every memory from almost mile one on this car from the get. It's just magic. Oh, that's what it's all about. Just pinch myself, honestly. I haven't been this excited about a car in such a long time. So Damon's car that I drove is what's known as a pre-LP car. So this is an LP640. Damon's is the 6.2 litre NA V12 that was originally launched in the Murcielago, the non-LP car. Then they introduced the upgrade to that, which is this car. It's the LP640. LP, I believe, is Italian for something like longitudinal posterior. Really, honestly. It's just the orientation of the layout of the rear end. But the big difference is they upgraded it from 6.2 litre to 6.5 litre. More horsepower, more torque, as the name would suggest, 640 horsepower. And this thing has done less than 230 miles. Dare I say it, this thing might still have a running in period. Which is, honestly, when I sort of committed to going, okay, the way forward to achieve this without spending $1 million is going to be a manual conversion. I expected it to be on a sort of, you know, half well-worn car, but box fresh, even as an E-gear. I mean, box fresh. Half of me is like, is this just a museum collector car? On the drive home, I'm going to double its mileage. Just crackers. Right now, it's not peak analog, but when I'm finished with it, it sure as hell will be. But at the beginning of this video, I mentioned there was gonna be some hard decisions. And that hard decision is parked right over here. So the eagle-eyed of you may have noticed a very familiar looking 997 GT3 RS 4 litre parked over here in the corner. And that's because this is my now old 997 GT3 RS 4 litre. And I know there's gonna be people in the comments, and at times myself included, this has not been an easy decision to sell the RS4 litre and put it into a Murcielago LP640. One of the reasons that this journey started on that car was a few months ago, I was moving it around the garage and I just decided to check when was the last time that I drove that car. And it was over 12 months ago. So I thought, what is the point in having a car so special and just not enjoying it, not using it for content, having it parked up? It's just totally against the point of why this thing exists. I think I've come to the end of the journey with this car, mostly because it's so special. They only made 600 of them. It's the last of the Metzger engines. It was the last of the cars before the 991 generation, where they moved the engine from behind the axle to over and above the axle. So it's a really special car, and I just can't bring myself to do anything to it. It's definitely not a project car. And if I'm gonna track a car, I'm not gonna track that one. It's a phenomenal manual. It is left-hand drive as well, which I think, if I'm being truthful, for the amount of times that I drove it, it wasn't a big deal. But on the occasion where I had it on a longer road trip, there was something that detracted from it because it was a left-hand drive car in a right-hand drive country. Frankly speaking, while that's one of the best 911s ever made, it has never made me feel anywhere close to what that Murcielago did over in the States. So if this thing can get anywhere near, and with more power, it certainly should do, it's gonna be a hell of a ride.
What started out as a fun week in August quickly became an obsession. And thanks to Redline, just a few weeks later, I'm sitting in my very own Murcielago LP640.
Absolutely insane.
Something I was literally dreaming about just a few weeks ago. Now it's time to figure out how to put a manual in this thing.
Most of the video introducing this is our time in Car Week. It's basically saying Damon cost me a load of money.